The lady that, not Katie, I know it wasn't Katie, it was the previous owner, and I didn't know them, when I moved in. She, and I liked her, Katie and I had a funny relationship. I can see your house was the farm. At that time, there was nothing there, and she zoomed in, and she saw me outside. Please, some of your people, I'm flying with some blind number. And I'm like, and then she just, and she felt really fast. Yeah, I only met her. So I used to find them. Well, she
You know if Lucas is coming?
I don't know. We got on Zoom earlier today.
Okay, so if he comes, I'll give him one. Yep, thank you.
Michael saying a big difference. You can tell how. There's Lucas.
It made it sound like the house was too big for the piano in terms of,
Yep.
But she was sick. Oh, here I go.
Hey Dan, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us? Sir?
Yes. Yes, we can.
All right, thanks.
She is, she's a.
And I'm going to one second.
I wonder if this keeps one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was serious.
Yeah, I know, it's the same.
Fort Hill. Fort Hill.
4 minutes, huh?
Yep.
No, it's not. No.
I'll sign.
He's got anything. Joe.
I'm Zeus.
You guys know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one, yeah, get one of the mics set up. It's, there's a headset like that, or we have a lapel one over here too, so. It's just, there's the one mic here that kind of points out to the room, but everyone online have a lot, much easier time hearing. Did no one tell you that?
Kind of the way it works.
On the record.
Technically not yet, although it is 6 p.m. It is 6 p.m. You want to get the full roll? Yes.
Very good. As my last official act, I call this meeting of the Harmony Community Development District to order. We'll start with a roll call. Dan,
Here.
Lucas,
Here.
Joe. Joe,
Not here.
Well, he's on Zoom.
That's just connecting.
That says connecting to audio. She might be muted.
Joe, you here? Well, we're having some technical difficulties there. Carol? Did I forget anybody? Nope. Very good. I'm Mark LeManager. We've decided to swear in the newly elected board members first, and then we'll have a time for audience comments.
So who would like to like this?
I can go first.
I've been ready. You can read that.
Yeah, okay. I, Brittany Cornell, a citizen of the state of Florida and the United States of America, am being employed by or an officer of the Harmony Community Development District and a recipient of public funds as such employee or officer, do hereby solemnly swear to affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. And as a recipient of public funds, I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties devolving upon me of the office of supervisor.
And that's what I've found on the record. Would you like to receive payment for being on the?
Yes.
Julie?
I, Juliet Nichols Williams, citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America, and being employed by or an officer of the Harmony Community Development District and a recipient of public funds as such employee or officer, do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida, and as a recipient of public funds, I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties devolving upon me in the office of supervisor.
Thank you very much, Julie. And would you like to receive payment?
Yes.
Just an announcement, if anyone needs to use the restroom, they're directly out here, hang a right, go to the kitchen and then all the way, okay? We will now move on to audience comments. If you would like to make a comment, please come up to the chair up here and state your name and address, please. And it is a 3-minute timer. So
Hi, my name is Barbara Finazzo. I'm at 3353 Sagebrush Street in South Lakes in Harmony. And I want to first say thank you to Carol and Mark for your service, which is much appreciated by the Lakes residents, especially you, Carol. And I have just a couple of comments. The power washing that was being done on the sidewalks going down Five Oaks, I don't think it's been complete, so just a reminder to have them come back. Because as you get further down by the lakes, it needs to be done. And then at the end of of Five Oaks, there's a circle. Somebody needs to take a look at that and redo it, because it's full of weeds, shrubs that haven't been taken care of. It doesn't look as nice as the other ones in Harmony. So now that there's people living at that end of the street, I ask that we just put that on the list of things to take care of. And then the last thing is, who do people go to get access cards? I have a neighbor that moved in and he's having trouble getting an answer of whether his application has been processed. So please tell me who to call him.
That would be the field supervisor. I can give you his details as well.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Was there any other weird comments?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, good evening. Congratulations to the new board, and thank you to the previous board as well. My name is Debbie Fuentes. I'm from South Lakes as well, 7450 Oakmark Road, Harmony. Just three things, besides the congratulations. First of all, the dreaded fence by the entrance.
Yeah.
Which I know that the new board said they would serve as strong liaison to try and get something done. I know that most of the people that I know at South Lakes and East Lake have been writing to code enforcement continually. I think they already know my name. So they're telling me they've got a case, they've got things going, they have to follow the process, but as you well know, it's horrific. It's really an eyesore. And just driving in as a resident is very discouraging, as well as for new people looking to buy. The second thing, hoping that the seeding of the lakes easements won't be forgotten as the new season starts. And the last thing is, unfortunately, the lights that are always put at the entrance by the square are shabby, to say the least.
The what?
The lights, the Christmas lights.
Oh, okay.
It seems as though that side of Harmony entrance always looks far less than the other entrance. We tend to call it the blob, the green blob, because it's always the same green lights every year. It does nothing for the entrance of that square. And it just looks shabby. So I'm wondering if, I've been here 6 years, so I'm wondering if they're ever going to do something to really brighten it up, because that's where the businesses are, at least few of them. That's where the square is, and it really looks disheartening compared to Harmony West and compared to the other entrance. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any more audience comments?
Good evening, board. Carol Castle, 332 Bruce Road. Just one thing that we discussed last month, and I'm sure Harold, you're going to have something to say about it. I know the go.gov service is something that's on the agenda to discuss tonight. Last month, the question that the board had was, what's the cost to the board from the Infomark side? Because there's got to be somebody who is managing that and communicating to the board, etc. So I just suggest you take that into consideration when you're making your decision about the service, just so you know, just so and we see this in the budget thing. And I wish you all the best, and thank you for being committed to the district and serving in advance. It's not easy. And
Thank you.
very thankless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't get the flowers.
They're up there for you guys.
Oh.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate your service. And Mark, thank you, Mark. So now we'll be moving on to the resolution.
Real quick, there's no comments on anyone on Zoom.
Thank you, Dan.
Making sure.
Okay. We'll now be moving on to resolution 2025-01, designating officers of the district. Board, you will see on, if you have the agenda, it's on page 3 of the agenda. You'll see a new name on there, Joseph Gonzalez. Joseph Gonzalez is actually sitting right beside me here. I would like to introduce you to the board. Unfortunately, I will be leaving and Joseph will be taking over, okay? I will still be staying with him for Mark, so still will be with the company, but I'll be moving to a different position and be basing more on the field. So Joseph will be taking over. He'll get all the support that he needs from myself, as well as the regional director, Jennifer Golden. And he'll be doing fine. He's doing a great job already. I just would like to say that it has been great working, well, with 2 minutes, but it's been great working with the board. I really enjoyed being a part of Harmony. I will still be at meetings, attending meetings, not regularly, but you'll see me for the next 2 or 3 meetings, and then you'll see me every quarter, okay? And so I just wanted to let you know. Now, we need a new chair. So Mark is now no longer part of the board. Would anyone like to nominate themselves or nominate someone to be the chair? We have Dan, who is the current vice chair. But I will just throw that out to the board.
What are you thinking, Lucas?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would nominate myself, but I honestly don't have enough bandwidth to support that role. So I would give it up to any of the other board members that are willing and fearful to take that position.
So we've got a nomination for Dan. Brittany, going forward.
I'll nominate Dan.
Stan.
Who's Dan Walker?
Yeah.
I mean, I would happily step aside if any of the other board members were interested in doing so. I've been as vice chair for, I think, my entire time on the board. Have been, short periods of time where I've, had to step up and, it's not super time consuming, but it can be. I'm absolutely willing to, if that's the board's choice, but I would absolutely encourage everyone else to be considering that, especially, 2 years from now, don't hesitate.
Joe, do you have any thoughts on this? If you can hear us?
Joe, if you're talking, you have to come off mute.
Is that
Joe,
better?
can you hear us?
Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
yes, thank
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have used my iPad because I know how to do Zoom on that, but I'm on my computer. No, I'm happy with whoever the board picks, and I think Dan would be an excellent choice.
Yeah, 3 nominations for yourself to be chairman, would you?
I'll do it.
Okay. So since Dan is now the chairman of the board, we need a vice chair.
Well, do we have to vote on Dan?
Well, there's been 3 nominations. Lucas, you okay with Dan being the?
Yeah, I just wanted it to be in the meetings, the minutes, if it's unanimous.
Can I make a motion?
Well, I didn't know if we needed to. I'm not trying to override. I'm not that familiar with the parliamentary procedure.
No, I think Dan would be a great chairman. So yes, I would elect him to the board for chairman.
Lucas, would you like to make a motion to approve Dan as the chairman?
Yeah, make a motion to approve Dan Lead as chairman of the board.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Dan.
And so now we would need to select a vice chair. Is there any nominations for that, or?
I would nominate Lucas.
Yeah.
It's Joe. I would nominate Lucas.
And Julie, you're
Yeah.
in favor of that? What about you, Brittany?
I am okay if that is the decision of the board.
Well, would you like to be nominated? Because this is a pretty free conversation is how we did it before, because maybe Lucas doesn't want the job.
Yeah, I would also consider it. I wouldn't feel confident enough, I don't think, today taking on chair, but I'm happy to be Dan's vice chair.
Okay.
And I'll just speak to, and that was, I was in a similar boat when I first joined board 4 years ago. And yes, it's not something that hits right away, but you're definitely exposed to, and just being mindful that's something to be thinking of. And when the event, when you actually do need to step up, it won't be that big a deal.
So we have Lucas and Brittany for vice chair. Do we have a vote on the Lucas?
Don't you need a motion and a second?
What is Lucas, are you still wanting to do it like?
Well,
Lucas
Joe,
did.
hold on, so Joe made a motion.
For Lucas?
No one
Well,
is second.
sort of. I shouldn't have said it the way I did because we should let Lucas chime in again because maybe he doesn't want to be the vice. I just took that upon myself, thinking that maybe he would.
I would
do you think?
support that role, and support Dan in his role as chairman. I think I do have enough experience now to understand what that role entails. If you guys were to nominate me, I would accept your nomination.
Then we'll make a motion. That's right, for Lucas. So you made a motion for Lucas. Do we have a second on that?
Yes, I would nominate Lucas or make a motion to appoint Lucas as the vice chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And thank you for your continued service. We will be moving on to consideration of resolution 2025-02, recognizing the contributions of Ms. Castle.
As it goes without saying, you've been on the board for when Harmony looked extremely different, when St. Cloud and Osceola County looked extremely different from how it is today, and your service has absolutely been appreciated. It's been crucial making Harmony as much of a nice place to live as it is today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carol.
I will move to adopt resolution 2025-02.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lucas?
Aye. Sorry.
That's all right, thank you. We're now moving on to consideration of resolution 2025-03, recognizing the contributions of Mr. the manager. We thank him for his service as the chairman of the board, and we appreciate all he's done for the community.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate you stepping up, several months ago, and it's been greatly appreciated. I'll nominate, or sorry, I will move to adopt resolution 2025-3.
I'll
Recognizing
second.
Mark.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no, all in favor?
Aye.
And I would just like to say again, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Carol, for your service. You really are appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for your service. Sorry I couldn't be there today. I'm a little under the weather. I didn't want to share my germs with everyone, but it was a pleasure working with you both, Carol and Mark, and thank you for all you did.
Thanks, Lucas.
And also, I would just like to say from district management, welcome Julie and welcome Brittany.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Yeah.
your service as well.
Congratulations, Julie and Courtney.
Yeah.
All right. Want to keep,
I can keep on with it, so we move on to staff reports about landscaping, so United.
Here, that one.
This one, yeah.
Nick Romathi with United Land Services. Congratulations on you guys, and I wanted to thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work with you. So for maintenance, we're on bi-weekly mowing. The deck height, we kept it at 425 on the St. Augustine. We're at 3 inches on the Bahia. Right now, our biggest issue is the acorns and the sycamore. So we're having to pick those up when it's this thick. So that with the week we're not mowing, then we focus on that, we get those up. And on the week that we're also not mowing, we're doing detailed shrubs, just certain sections, so we make complete laps throughout the community. The rise seed for the soccer field was just done today. The reason for the delay is because it only works when the temperatures are cool. And we are having our first cool front tomorrow of any kind of difference that would make. So we applied it. We got in touch with the field staff. We're gonna have signs on. So people will stay off of it. We will mow it after 25 days. Irrigation was inspected and the timer was adjusted, so water will It will water for the next 14 days straight. Having said that, there was a couple of proposals. One was for some dead plants in Park Lake and some seeding. But due to the election, I only brought in the hazardous ones to allow everything, not to clog everything up. So we will have those out on the next CBD meeting. Irrigation, we had replaced 22 rainbird pop-ups, 7 rotors. And right now, we have 2 valves down on the west entrance. I have a tech coming out Tuesday to replace it. I believe you called me on it, Carol. It is not just the diaphragm that needs to be cleaned. We tried that. We actually have to replace the valve. We'll take care of that. It is under 2 inch, so there's no additional cost to that. I only have 2 proposals that I brought in. The reason why I brought those ones in is they were identified on the field inspection and hazard. You guys have copies of both of those, I assume? So the one is in front of 7553 5 Oaks Drive, the Harmony Golf Preserve. It's on the corner of the entrance. I've done an arbor report on this a few months back, and they thought that maybe it was lightning. The problem is it's not just simple as pulling it out and stump grinding. With this particular tree, the verge is so small that when I stump grind, we're gonna have to completely replumb that area. And then put a new bubbler on it for a new oak tree, so it's gonna take a little bit longer than what you normally would be due to the lack of the.
Orders page 10 of the agenda at the top.
Oh,
If you want to see the tree that we're referring to.
So we did put in there for a 45 gallon
okay.
live oak tree as a replacement, along with a bubbler. That's and staked, so. There's that one, and then the other one, there is a dead palm tree in the pool, same location.
It's on page 9. It's on page 9 of the agenda.
We do not recommend putting a new one back. Our proposal is just to remove it and stump grind. We recommend that the managing team puts pavers in place, because we do believe whatever chemical that is used in the pools, the myth is the reason why it has died. The rest of them are farther away and are performing better. This one's just too close. So we don't recommend putting a palm tree in its place for paving over. I see it repeating in the same location.
And what we discussed this when we were doing the field inspection, that it would just be bad on after bad. Once the tree would be removed, field staff will be able to do the paving there. It's, a bit out of place, but it'll still be one you say like that. And am I right that you cut the stuff down below so we can do the paving and put in?
What we're gonna do is we're gonna grind it, and then we're gonna pack it full of soil, just in the event, because we're gonna put pavers on it. I don't want it to sink.
Right.
So we're gonna tamp it in there, and then we'll allow you guys to take over once it's done.
And we can coordinate, so that's a quick process. It's not sitting in between and then unfinished date for.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll contact them, we'll meet them, we'll actually probably due to the hazard, I'll shut the pool down. And it's the winter time, I don't see anyone running to it right now. And we'll go to it first thing in the morning, and then it'll be back to back. Coordinating through the management.
And I think it would be a coordination between first staff and next team to ensure that we can do that paving once it's removed. So once they finish their work, the idea will be to synchronize it so we know in there. It's just a seamless process.
We are in direct contact with field staff daily. My production manager meets with the on-site manager daily, so this would be something we could accommodate, no problem.
So we'll start with the removal of the palm tree. So this came through from the next set of the agenda we have. That's why it's not included in the agenda. The proposal number is 135717, and the total cost is $745 to remove that and stump grinding that Nick has mentioned, and
You say 745?
$745, yes, $745. And if the board would like to proceed with that, we can get a motion to.
I'll move to approve proposal 135717 in the amount of $745 for removal of that palm tree.
Thank you very much. And can we get a second on that?
I'll second that.
That's a question.
Yes. Yeah, once a motion has been seconded, it's then open for discussion for anybody.
Okay, perfect.
So
Just
feel
so I
free.
understand the process here.
Yep.
When we're having motions like this, are we typically just taking their quote and deciding there's no
So,
comparison?
and feel free to,
Just so, I
Howard.
just want to understand how it's typically.
Sure. So, and there are, I think in this case, it was a matter of these are trees that are like dead or dying. So it's, there's a more immediate safety issue of needing to deal with them. Typically, when we are discussing landscaping things, it could, there's, you kind of categorize. Sometimes there are urgent things and, yes, usually those are pretty safe bets that they'll be approved. And we do have a standing budget for both just general landscaping, but then also specifically, tree maintenance and things like that. But then other projects like whether it's, sprucing up, parks or something like that, an area needs extra sod or mulch or something. That it's up to us to decide, okay, well, what's the budget for that? How much have we spent so far this year on it? And do we feel comfortable paying this amount to do this job versus is it something we can maybe, triage, or we need to increase that budget item later, that year to not have it be a problem in the future.
Okay.
With United Landscaping Services being on site, generally they can take care of these things relatively quickly, more so than other companies, if that's what you're getting with additional proposals.
I know, I understand that. I'm just wondering, like, so if this is a safety hazard, then obviously that's something that might be more priority. I'm just wondering if it's something that is more of a want than a need. Are we typically going through a bidding process or are we just going through our preferred vendor?
I mean, it depends. Typically, we'll just come from United Land Services. We can look at
Okay.
other vendors to provide those services as well. Just with familiarity with them being on site, on the property.
Understood.
Generally why we would go with United Land Services. As far as pricing, they're pretty competitive when it comes to that. And United Land Services, I think, in probably half of the districts that I deal with now.
Okay,
And so,
it's good insight.
And-
you can always.
Perfect, no, I was just wanting to, that makes sense.
And I want to say it was probably 2 years ago. There is just by law, we're supposed to rebid those large contracts on a somewhat regular basis. So that that gives us a chance to see who else is out there. But yeah, in terms of smaller jobs like that, there's going to, if it's an outside company, they're going to have to mobilize whatever equipment and all that versus United's more like
Understood.
that.
And just for extra clarity, and this will be my last question, it's not that there's an exclusivity clause or anything like that. For example, if we did go with another vendor to service this one tree, would your guys still maintenance it as part of our regular maintenance?
Yeah, we just wouldn't warranty it.
Okay. Perfect.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have the second proposal, which is for the ditch tree outside the front of the swim club. This is proposal number 135995. The total cost for the replacement and removal is $3,480. And as mentioned, that's on page 10 of the agenda at the top there. It is dead, it is a safety hazard, and I don't know if Nick said this, but it's such a tight area that it could become.
So we started noticing early on that it was getting sick, so that's when I had the arbor report. We removed the pine bark away from the base of the trunk to try to save it. And it just seemed weekly, every single week, we were losing limbs that was dying. And as it stands now, we only have one green branch left. And it's a massive tree, it's not small, so the undertaking of where to dig it up, it's gonna take quite a bit more time than if it went down 5 limbs in the open section, so it's almost like surgery, if you will. I went to great lengths to try to save the tree to avoid this. And I couldn't, that's why I'm leaning towards it was lightning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Is there a breakdown of the removal versus the 45-gallon replacement?
So the tree removal and stump grinding, so yes, there is Dan, is $2,325. The live oak itself is $625. The bubbler and the flex pipe is $110. And the labor for the whole process, and including irrigation, is $420, bringing it out to a total of $3,480.
The labor, including with the bringing in the tree, so for the tree removal, there's label in that as well. but
Okay.
That's bringing in the whole rig.
Right.
But yeah, so it's all broken down, because I know we have wanted pictures and see all of the details.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on the size of the replacement relative to, you were saying it's a kind of tight area there? Why did you use 45 gallon?
Well, because we're trying to, all right, so it already has a canopy that it has to compete with. So I don't want it to start leaning. If I grow too small and then the trees next to it also continue to grow, it'll go off on an angle. Whereas if it's already 10, 12 feet tall, it has a fighting shot and it'll shoot up and it won't grow crooked and it'll be there for the long term.
Okay, excellent. That speaking for myself, that all sounds like a, good justification and everything, so I will move to approve proposal 135995 in the amount of $3,480 to remove and replace the dying oak tree in front of the swim club.
I'll second.
I have
Is there
a
any?
couple questions, just questions for Nick.
Go ahead.
So Nick, why do you think that tree didn't survive there?
I think it was hit by lightning. Early on, when we went ahead and we were trimming, it was brought to my attention that it was sick. Shortly thereafter, I had an arbor report done on the tree. And they suggested that it's possible lightning, and they advised me to remove all of the mulch away from the base. And clean the top layer. We did that. They came back out for a separate estimate, and I said, can you come look at the tree again? And they did, and they told me. 4 weeks ago that it was gone. So I kind of gave it another week and then I lost another branch and the top is starting to get soft. And in my experience, from what I've seen, that's how it goes. And then we'll start getting limbs to snap off because what's alive is just supported by everything rotted and it's just gonna fall. So that's kind of why I pushed it as quickly as I did this month. But my professional opinion that lightning is what took this out. Now, the other trees around it are fine, they're not sick. We had an arbor report done on a tree in the square. They suggested we remove X amount of limbs, we did, and it's coming back and it's fine. This one just failed, it took a hit. No
Okay.
fertilizer, cleaning would bring it back.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's a beautiful tree, it's unfortunate.
And for the new tree that's gonna go in, we have the right irrigation set up for all that?
Right, so when we stump grind this particular section, I can't avoid, so I'm gonna have to shut it off at the meter. That main line is more than likely gonna get chewed up a little bit. There will be no additional cost, I already figured that was gonna happen. So I'll make sure that the main line gets repaired and it runs and connects to where it was. But I'm also gonna put a T with a flex pipe to go around it with a bubbler. And as it ages, I can control how much water will come by the tightening of it. And a gator bag if need be, considering it's the dry season. And then we'll place the bubbler in that and it'll keep X amount of gallons in that bag, so to speak, in between waterings. Cause after 14 days, I can't justify water to it every day.
Okay, and it'll have like a support structure with, 2x4s or something to make sure it grows straight and all that stuff too?
Yeah, this tree will be staked. It'll be
Okay.
lumber staked because it's 45 gallons, so it won't just be the nylon straps. So there'll be 3 of those, but they'll be placed in a way that it won't obstruct the people walking on the sidewalk or pulling into the parking lot.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I got. Appreciate it, Nick.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I did want to just ask, because the audio is kind of cutting out on me sometimes. How much was the new tree versus, and then how much was it to remove the old one? The dead one?
I've got it here, Joe, might pick up better. It was $23.25 for the removal.
Mm-hmm.
625 for the new oak tree.
Did you say how much?
110, 625,
Oh, okay, very good, thank you.
110 for the irrigation, 420 for the labor,
Okay,
separate from the removal.
so if we just removed it and didn't replace it, we would save about $1,000.
No, you would say 625 and it would be a gap, and it would be a gap in our square. where the
Yeah.
Restaurant and the pool pub is. It would almost
Yeah,
look
I
like a
just, I
jack
just
lantern.
wanted to clarify that in my head. No, I'm all in favor of it.
Savings for the tree would be $625.
Okay. Well, I was adding in the labor, because if you didn't put in a new tree, you don't have to do all that watering and stuff, so that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I didn't charge you for the watering, that, I
Oh,
have, I
okay.
built that in. So on
Okay.
every.
All right, I just wanted a perspective, so thank you.
Any other?
One more question. You said for the palm tree at the pool. Oh, no, I'm sorry, for this tree, if we went with another company or got another tree put in, you just wouldn't, have some sort of like warranty on it, or you wouldn't, be responsible if it didn't like take or anything. Does that mean that if you're putting the tree in, if for whatever reason it didn't take, or the same weird growth happened with this tree, would you guys cover that?
Yeah, so you have a warranty, I mean, outside of acts of God, I can't control lightning.
Right.
But, you know, of course, so let's say we put it in there and something happened and it just didn't take because of air pockets, warranty it, no questions asked, I would replace it. We stand on that,
Okay.
pretty particular and making sure that we give the best service, so. If it, freak accident, lightning, I can't cover it, but
Right.
water. Not planting right, it just didn't take, just didn't do well, anything like that, absolutely, no questions asked.
Understood, thank you.
All my plants, for the record, they come with a warranty. Planting, trees.
Any, all right, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Yes.
I just have one more thing,
Yes.
so. Since I've been here, Carol was my point of contact, in between, Harmony's a big operation.
Yes.
So if something were to happen, I would call her if she noticed something, mainline breaks, things of that nature. Part of plane's dying, we would take a ride, and then she would report back to, the board for findings.
Right.
I just have a request, and I don't have to have it today, if you guys can, you know, talk amongst yourselves. Who will be my new point of contact and available for things like that? And I don't have that answer this time, but if that's something the board can come up with and let me know on the next meeting. That would be extremely helpful for what we're trying to do and give you guys more insight on what's going on in certain areas that we don't necessarily talk about every day.
Okay, good.
Would it like to be, to do that role?
Well, just to be clear, that's not an official, that's just something that Carol had taken on, to be clear, or is
Right.
that like?
No, yeah, it's not like you're an official sworn in to do that. It's just, we meet once a month. That's it. So sometimes mainline breaks or something like that, or we've had cars literally jump a roundabout.
Yeah.
It's happened.
I saw that. I saw that.
Drought, drought's a perfect example. We had a park one time that kids were playing on it and it just destroyed the grass. To me, that's an emergency.
Yeah.
Can you see this, you know, and we discussed, you know, what's going on, and I could show, hey, the irrigation is working, things of that nature. So it's not a mandatory thing, it's just a helpful thing, and it gives you insight on your property. And
Makes sense.
Yeah, so in general, the district manager, so that'll be Joseph, has authority up to a certain amount to authorize, expenditures on if they're, the emergency, landscaping need or something like that. Then if there's a basically graduate level versus what the chairman can approve, what the district manager approve, or what needs overall board approval as it becomes a higher and higher amount. What Nick's talking about is just basically, I don't think had any kind of approval versus it's just a point of contact. So if you just, I mean, maybe you're already, bike riding around the neighborhood, you're already, taking and have a sense of, how things should, look like, what areas maybe need help, would, that'd be a good opportunity to leverage that to
Right.
give us a,
Then a quick text for an emergency, hey, we had to shut the main line down over here, if you get any questions about it, you're aware, if you're seeing this, that would,
Understood.
I just like to be transparent.
Yeah.
On the.
And what about the pocket parks? Because Carol was.
Right, so if, we did a review and a proposal, and we evaluated every single pocket park. She accompanied me to every single one. Some of these plans are from 2003 or 4 when they were initially put in, so we would prioritize, problems where you would see it firsthand. And you would understand.
Has any board member, supervisor, sorry, wanting to say now, they would like to be the point of contact for Nick?
Hey, Nick, I can give you my information if you want to reach out to me.
I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Lucas.
thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
And if Lucas is at work, you can use me as a backup if you have something really important and you can't get him.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody can know. That's all I have for my report. That's all I have.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Nick?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Raul couldn't be here tonight because he got over. So he didn't sound very good yesterday, but he went home and unfortunately he cannot be here. But are there any questions that the board had for the field inspection? A lot of the items, a good percentage of the items have already been taken care of. Some of them are monitoring, like pressure washing and things like that. Thank you.
Right.
I didn't have it.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, we had the audience comment earlier, just, could you speak to the status of the pressure washing? Or
Yes, yeah, so actually I'll kind of get to that in the district manager role, however, pressure washing will be done full time. Okay, and so we'll have someone dedicated, dedicated, that kind of swap out to do pressure washing, so it'll be done Monday through Friday.
Thank you.
No problem.
Can I just say one thing? Right, I know I'm not supposed to.
Really quick.
When you do the palm tree, can you just give notice, there are people from the lakes that go down to that pool every morning to do water aerobics, so if you're gonna close it for safety reasons, just somehow tell people.
Man, do you know what time they do that?
They usually are there about 9-ish.
9?
Yeah,
Okay.
And so we just make sure we have a sign up maybe the few days before.
thank you.
Okay, unfortunately, David wasn't able to be here as well due to a conflict this whole week, unfortunately. There was nothing pressing when I spoke to him between meetings today. He did say that he will have a proposal for the clay brick sidewalk improvement that will be available at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, but if there's any questions that the board has, management can ask them to provide an update, either directly to the board or at the next meeting. Is there any questions or concerns?
Yeah, it says, I'm guessing that's for the green neighborhood alleyway. Is there anything outstanding with
Just find out if there's anything outstanding on it.
Well, I mean, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so. And now we're moving on to district council. Kate, are you on there?
Yes, hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Kate John, representing District Council. I would just like to welcome the two new board members to the board. Congratulations. As I said, I'm Kate, and I help Mike Eckert. Mike Eckert is the main district counsel. We're with the law firm at Q-Tech Rock. You'll also see our colleague Kubra Metin online and sometimes in person. And I just wanted to say a couple of things regarding board member duties, briefly, and our office will be reaching out to you, within the next week or so to, set up some time with you, maybe a call on Zoom, and just discuss any questions you may have. And we're also going to send you out some information, just which details more your role as board supervisors. So, and I'll just go over it briefly now. As a CDD board supervisor, you are elected public officials, which is why you just, that oath that you both just did at the beginning of the meeting, stating that you are a public officer, a recipient of public funds, and you hold to the constitutions of the US and the state of Florida. So as an elected public official, you do have to abide by the Public Official Code of Ethics, which is found in Chapter 112 of Florida statutes. You will have to file the same financial disclosures that any elected public officials do. That's a Form 1, and I know, and your district management company is great, and I know they'll assist you in that process as well. And you'll need to do that within 30 days of today of your appointment. And then you'll do it every year after that, by July 1. And I'm going to say a few things regarding the two big laws that you need to be aware of is the Sunshine Law and the Florida Public Records Law. Very, very high level, the Sunshine Law just states that any board member meeting must be a publicly noticed meeting. There must be and there must be minutes taken, some sort of recording, be it minutes or via Zoom. You also cannot communicate with one another outside of a publicly noticed board meeting. So that means you can't discuss, you can talk about other things clearly, but nothing related to the CDD business. And the communication also includes text and any posts on social media. So there can't be communication between board members. The other thing is that any written communication related to the CDD is subject to a public records request. So we do urge you and encourage you to keep a separate email account for any CDD related business, because that's just going to make it easy in the event anything is ever requested. And lastly, you will need to complete 4 hours each year of ethics training. Florida ethics training, it must be completed by December 31st of each year. However, because it's so late in the year, you will not be required to complete it by December 31 of this year. But starting in January 1 of 2025, you'll have a year to complete it. It's 4 hours of ethics training. We will provide more information regarding that, and it can be completed online through videos, and it's a free training. So with that, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to ask. I'll be happy to answer, and you can reach out. We'll be providing you with our contact information, as well as providing all of this information in our follow-up email. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
No.
Okay,
Thank you very
great.
much, Kate.
Yes, thank you. And also, we just wanted to let the board know, we're still working on the policies. That it was something that had come up at the last board meeting, creating policies to regarding the placement of signs on the entryway towers, as far as allowing commercial vendors to place their signs there. We are still working on those policies, and we should have something for you at the next board meeting for you to review.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Was there any questions for Kate before we move on? No, you good? Okay, moving on to district manager. Okay. There was discussion at the last board meeting, and also William's comments today regarding the a field administrative position, so if the board decided to go with this ad, how would we support that? We carefully reviewed the addition of another person to the field staff. And we didn't look at it just from the GoGo ad, we looked at the whole community and the amount of work that is needed this is a large community. A lot of people take pride in this community and we want to respect that as well. So and we came to the conclusion that someone new is needed. Okay, this additional person will actually be added to the field staff at no cost to the board. What we would ask is that in the fiscal year of 2026, when we're doing the budget for 2026, that we kind of look at those numbers and see if there's still the ability to support that. But this would be separate to the GoGo. So regardless of the board's decision to go with this GoGo app, we will be hiring someone new. The lady mentioned about pressure washing. You know, that's something that's ongoing. We've got the concrete grinding. There's just so many little things that we want to get maintained and, you know, obviously raise that level up of the community and keep it that way. And we need to do this by adding someone else. And so we will start that process of looking to get someone hired into that field position. So if the board was looking at going with the GoGo app, Raul, who was the field supervisor, he would initially be the kind of the administrative person on that. Only because he knows the skill set of everyone and he can, you know, disperse everyone out as needed. So it's up to you when you do want to go to GoGo. We do have that on as a business item, but that has no implications or, you know, we will be adding someone else on. So we just really looked at what needs to be done within the community and where we want to be, and we need someone else to do that. So that will increase by one person. So we are excited about that. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
We're looking forward to getting them on.
So would that be a more of an administrative role or a person on the field?
Initially, it would be a field. Okay. It would really depend on the board's decision on the GoGo app. And if initially Raul will take responsibility of that as the supervisor of field, just because he's got more knowledge with it and, you know, can handle it. Now, when it becomes more, you know, a task, then someone within the field structure would be, you know, assigned to the GoGo app. But initially, if the board wants to go that route, it would be Raul who would be doing that. Okay. So once we have a new field staff, a new field member in place, we will let the board know when they're starting. Okay. So I also want to say, Nick talked about the seating of the field. Field staff have already kind of sectioned off the field. I don't know how long that's going to last. We'll keep an eye on that. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're, you know, making sure that this seating takes. With regards to Julie and Brittany, we will get those new email addresses set up. Okay, once we've got them set up, we'll let you know. It'll just be Brittany at harmonycd.org and Julie at harmonycd.org. We will get the website updated immediately tomorrow. Even without, we will not put your personal email addresses on there. We'll just leave them blank, sorry, until we get them, get them set up. Okay, but we will make that change to the website. Okay, so now we have obviously a chairman and a vice chair and new supervisors. One thing I wanted to bring up to the board, and I don't know if this has actually been talked about, we can provide the board at the meeting time with iPads to use, which would have the agenda already loaded on. If there's anything else that needs to be added on to them, we would basically have that all ready to go. That's something that we can bring them every time. If the board wants to use them, great. If not, that's really entirely up to you. It's not a big deal.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll say so. 4 years ago, when I was elected, chairman at the time, reached out and, hey, here's, send information, and they at the time included getting a CDD laptop. So
yes, both Brittany and
well, I wasn't aware that anything had changed, so I was doing what had been done for me at the time. So. I mean, just from my own experience, it definitely has been helpful to, I can have, yes, I could get my CDD emails on my phone, but it is helpful to have, okay, everything on this is just a, dedicated it wasn't, I think it was under $500 4 years
Right.
ago, so I mean, it's, doesn't necessarily need to be a huge expense, but at the same time, it's obviously it's public money. So I would say for, Julie and Brittany, does that sound like something that would be important and helpful versus if they were to bring in just, a pad with the agendas or any other information to go through at the time of the meeting? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it would be extremely helpful to have a designated device for all things CDD, but, depending on what the budget looks like, I'm also okay with the iPad situation in the interim.
Did the board want to look at the expense? I mean, say well, I don't know, Julie feels, but we'd have to say under $500 for Brittany. I don't know, you feel really, if you would want that or not? You would?
Yeah.
So we'd be looking at, let's just use, like you were saying, Dan, round numbers, like $1,000. I'm just quickly looking at the budget now, where we could pull that from.
Well, does like Lucas and Joe have a separate device for CDD matters?
No, I do not. When I came on, I thought that there was, and when I approached Angel, she said, no, they had done away with that, so I did not. I'm using my son's old laptop, which is fine, and I just use it for CDD, that way I don't get the stuff mixed up, but I don't have anything supplied to me. I don't know if Lucas does or not.
No, I
And you
do.
were on before. Yeah, go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, I didn't think he had, so no, neither of us have it either.
I have been that one for at least the last 8 years. I just use my iPad.
Yeah, I mean, the first instinct shouldn't be, let's spend money on something,
Right.
but I mean, I would. If it's hardship, I don't know. I said my piece, I think it's helpful, but at the same time, we don't have carved out the budget. Maybe we can, give it a month or two,
Yeah.
see how you guys get to the next
That's a
meeting,
good
okay?
idea.
Get the email set up.
Yeah, we'll bring the iPads to the next meeting anyway, and if you want to use them.
At least that brings uniformity to us too here, as far as what we're following, and then maybe we can work it on the budget in the future.
Yep, we most certainly can. And let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. And that is it for myself. So now we'll move on to the discussion of the GoGov ad proposal. It is on page 14 of the agenda.
And you were both at the meeting last month, you got to see the presentation, right?
Well, I wasn't here, I logged on online and I missed like a whole video, but I mean, I kind of get the gist of it.
Okay.
So basically, just in essence, it's an ad.
Yeah.
How many residents where they can, if they see an issue, they would put it into an ad.
Yeah.
It would come to Rahul, for example, and Rahul would look at that and you would assign it to someone and then.
Whereas now we just email,
That is correct.
yeah, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And
You email either district management or you email.
Yeah,
City maintenance.
Yeah.
.com or Rahul direct.
yeah,
with
any time I've ever emailed, it's been really quick at getting
I'm glad to
getting
hear
it
that.
done, doing it.
We try it, I mean, it's not easy all the time, but yeah. But I'll be happy. So the total cost for 1 year is 13,860 for that. That's on page 15, which outlines the breakdown of it. And as mentioned, there's no implications on a new field staff member, that will automatically be happening.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Okay, who's, but you already answered that.
Yeah, so Raul will be
Yeah.
the point of contact initially, and then depending on, how it's going, we can't really gauge it at this point. And if they've got 50 days, someone else would step into that position, we would free them up.
So my question is probably what most residents are probably thinking right now is that I'm glad that Julie's had that experience. I don't think that that's been the most consistent response that I've heard.
Okay.
So the turnaround time for getting a response has been very irregular at best.
Okay.
So if Raul is the one getting the emails and there's really not much consistency there as far as response goes, how does the app change that?
The app would be dedicated to Raul. I believe all field staff would have access to it, but he would be the one that would be controlling it. Now, just to give you kind of not background, but an idea of how the email structure works. If you're emailing Raul directly, you know, we would obviously hope they would get back to you as soon as you can. The CD maintenance email not only goes to Raul, but also to the district manager as well. And so the district manager will have a final, he will be following up with Raul to see whether it responded, and then he would need to step in to respond to that to ensure. I mean, really, in all honesty, we should be providing a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. That would definitely be, that's definitely the goal, if not sooner. The idea would be if you do it same day or the following day, that would definitely, you know, that's definitely the goal. That would obviously exclude weekends, that would just be on Monday through Friday.
Okay, that's good to know.
But we can definitely bring that to not only Raul's attention, but to district manager's attention as well, to ensure that we're overseeing those and providing for the response.
Okay, and I think you mentioned last meeting that there's also almost like a tracker where you can see updates as far as what you submitted.
Yeah, the go back. Yeah, I do believe, I mean, Kevin's not here unfortunately, but I do believe you're correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thoughts on the issue were, yes, as a board member, I've never had an issue having my emails being replied to, but I know that's, you know, not the case for everybody. What I very much like about having that service is just having visibility, but also tracking in a form of accountability to residents of not only, okay, we've been saying, here's this email, send your email issues to, you know, we've been saying that, you know, every time something comes up, we're in the face and, you know, and to Infomark's credit, many times things are dealt with very quickly, or I go to follow up with something and in the time of me sending a follow-up email, it has already been taken care of. That's absolutely happened. I'm not saying the email process doesn't work at all, but this would provide for residents like I said, just visibility and accountability for any kind of field service, maintenance, landscaping issues that would, I think it would be, sitting here as new chairman, I am strongly in favor of this, just to kind of have a system to backstop, you know, interacting with residents and not, you know, feeling like it's not on me to chase down, you know, that I don't go on Facebook all that often. I would, you know, like to, I'm in favor of this, especially with it costing a bit less than, I think they were saying 17,000 at the, when they talked about it last month. The estimate came in a little less than that, and hearing that in the short term, at least, that we would have that support on the Infomark side, already taken into consideration. I sit here, in favor of going forward with this and figuring out.
Yeah, and I kind of second that, Dan. You know, I don't know if you guys were here in the last meeting when we had the whole introduction from the sales guy, but it really just seems like a more efficient way of tracking things, informing the community of what's going on, and really keeping track of the ins and outs of these requests that kind of get lost in the email train. And kind of what Howard said is who gets assigned that, and it's more clear now that whoever submits the request, it's getting sent to the person who's distributing it out to the person that needs to take care of that issue. And once the issue gets completed or fixed, they get an automated notification, whether it's email or on their phone, that's taken care of. So it also looks, in my opinion, that we're trying to improve things in our community. And I think spending the extra $13,000, which is basically around, you know, a little bit over $1,000 a month to get these requests taken care of quicker, it is going to look good at the end of the day. So I think definitely for it, and I agree with Dan on going forward with this.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I had to do something here for my voice to get heard. So if, let's say there is a tree branch down and 20 people report it. And then let's say there's a water main break down the street and 20 people report that. Does Raul decide which one is the more important one to get done right away? And can all those people see that the other people have reported it? And do they all get responses when the work is completed?
I want to say from the presentation, Joe, that people can't see other people's requests.
Right.
Mhm.
And so would be Raul actually closing out those requests individually and then assigning someone to, to obviously take care of it. Whether that be someone shutting down water mains, for example, or, whatever the case may be. But yes, I don't believe they can see each other's requests. So I can't speak to more on that, but yeah, he would have to go in there and take care of those.
So, I guess I don't know how many requests go in every day, but if Raul's getting 50 to 100 requests every day, is his time going to be totally consumed answering all these people?
Yeah, so that's where a transition would be made for someone from the build team to basically take over that responsibility.
Okay, so you said you're adding a new person and we're not being charged this year, but potentially we're not just looking at the cost of the annual subscription, we're looking at someone to administer it, which will grow over time, I would imagine, because in the beginning, it's only going to be the residents who are willing to put the app in their phone or whatever device they use, and then the ones who are willing to open accounts and actually use it. Am I correct? You have to get the app and then open an account? Is there going to be any control that the person must be a homeowner or a resident to use the app? Is it going to be restricted to homeowners or to residents?
So Joe, let me jump in here, Howard. So,
Okay.
So Joe, I don't know if you remember the guy briefing us on the GoGov app, but there's a website that's linked to our Harmony CDD website that you can click a link on there, and you can select whether you want to get notifications through your phone or email. And so there's various options that the person can notify the maintenance supervisor about any issues throughout the community. So there's.
Okay, I forgot that part. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, were you finished, Joe? Oh, don't interrupt.
Yeah, I was still curious well, no, that's all right. That's good enough.
Okay, well, my question for Howard was, can you give us a ballpark? How many emails we get to the CDD maintenance, say, in a given month? A day?
Yeah, I would say on average, you're probably looking, and this is just really.
A ballpark, yeah, I'm not holding you to it.
I would, it is, at this moment, it is minimal. So you'd be looking, I would say, let's say on average about 2 or 3.
Okay.
I couldn't hear that answer.
About 2 or 3 a day roughly on average.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Slight, coming back from the weekend, you have more to respond to. But then I can't allow for people who email the supervisor or field directly as well. So
right.
That's why I think it's probably about maybe 2 or 3, probably close to 3, I would say. And that would be including probably access cards, if there's an issue, a number of things.
Yeah, and I also think, and what the guy said last time he briefed us on the introduction, there is going to be a learning curve, for residents to get acclimated to the new app and how to submit requests and things. But I think eventually it's going to be way more efficient than having to email and making sure you're getting a response and the same process that everyone complains about right now. So I think this is gonna be good for the community. I think it's gonna be more efficient, and I think we should go forward with trying it out at least and see how it does.
Lucas, can I ask you say everyone complains about? What do you mean by everyone?
Well, I mean, I get emails from residents saying I haven't been responded, things haven't been moving and stuff, and so I think there's a way for the board members to see the requests, which I believe that's the case, of what's being submitted and where it's being worked, so we can monitor how fast things are getting moved and how fast people's requests are getting completed. So
And how many people would you say a month you get those emails from?
probably a couple, just mainly friends and people that I run into and stuff, but it's
I guess I'm wondering if this is really as big of an issue as it's being made out to be, but that's all.
What were you gonna say, Howard? Oh, sorry.
I'm just wondering, probably notably and most recognizably, Celebration uses this app, is that right?
Yes.
So percentage, well, how long have they been using it?
I only found it personally recently, like 2 months, but I think they've been using it for 1 year. Yeah, I was gonna
1
say
year.
a little bit over a year, but yeah.
Okay, and then in that year, what is the percentage of residents that are actively or you know what, let's make it simple, currently registered on the platform?
From what I understand, there is around 600.
And what is, I guess, percentage wise, or what is the total population?
The total population, I'm using round numbers here, so for this.
Yeah.
10,000.
Yes, I
Okay,
see, it's
so
a
we're
very
talking-
small
yeah.
percentage.
Right, and in 1 year in 1 year it took them to get to.
And so Celebration has one person that's dedicated now to GoGo. And so that is completely all that she does.
Okay,
And so it's gotten to that point. So that would have taken probably 7 to 8 months to get to that point. Yeah,
Okay.
roughly, give or take a few weeks, but you would have been about that.
okay, that's good for some perspective, which I think would be a game changer for us here. I just think it's important to have all the numbers.
I just wanted to touch on something that Luke has said as well, is that, I'm not taking in consideration if Dan gets an email, and, the other, vice chair, or, Lucas gets an email, Joe gets an email. So, that's just taking just one email address.
Right.
So it could be a higher percentage than that. Just to be transparent.
Yeah, and then for the board, do we have a electronic record of, I'm sure it's on a voluntary basis, but resident email addresses so that we could kind of like mega roll this out at least to get a jump start?
We're not allowed to do that because
Right.
now their email addresses become public.
Right, the way we've done that in the past is we will communicate to the different homeowners associations who are able to do those email
Understood,
blasts.
okay. That
And
makes
we would put it on the website, we put at the bottom email addresses, things like that. So when Raul's responding to someone, for example, hey, there's we're going to go back, download the app. So we do as much as we can to get it out to the community.
And just to be clear, so this system, implementing this system would sort of take the board's hands off of that responsibility, right? Because that's kind of what it seems like. We're not in any way going to be involved then in the communication process between the residents, or that would be the goal, that would be the end game here,
Yes,
right?
That is correct. Yeah, unless it's something specific they wanted to talk about, an agenda item or something like that, then they reach out to each person individually or as one person.
We're not supposed to be, in the business of micromanaging, the field services operation.
Yeah.
That's higher IMS to be doing that. This would give us, like I said, just visibility and tracking, the way to keep, hold the CDD and the district management and landscaping, field services as the CDD as a whole, more accountable to the residents.
It's just explaining that to the residents, like, hey, we're gonna be taking on a close to $14,000 hit to our budget here, or taking on this cost. But this doesn't really have anything to do with us. Explaining that and getting that message across clearly, and then when we're not taking accountability or responsibility for that, might be an issue.
Well, that's, as elected officials, that's on us to, be out there listening and, making our decisions here on how to spend the public funds as best reflecting what we're hearing from residents as possible.
Right.
And if we're hearing that they're having, or reality or not, whether they sense it's difficult to have their concerns dealt with, and this is a step we can do to make that hopefully easier.
Right, that's the hope. Because again, my fear is just gonna be that Raul's handling the emails now. I can see how that can get complicated. Raul's gonna be handling the platform. And if we say, hey, you know, we're not really, we can do what we can reach out to Raul too, you know, but when it's not our responsibility, when we're not owning it, I think that's kind of what we heard is the residents saying that they're sort of tired of hearing.
And just to give you some context, Brittany, from the way it was communicated to me was actually from a Harmony resident.
Okay, yes, that's, I think at the lakes, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, that's just my questions. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? And this is more technical and we might not know, but if Raul gets a request from a resident, do they, does he have to answer them right that day, or does he kind of put them in a priority order?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Joe, actually. I would assume it's kind of like an email or, you know, or an alert that comes in. On a, you know, just a priority basis, whether it's done by time, or I don't know whether that is, from what I understand from Kevin, with the presentation, there's a lot of customization that can be done. And so that may be one thing that there is a priority level that we could look into. But I mean, we could find that out from Kevin, whether that has that capability of doing that, and or how we work that.
All right, well, who decides that now? Let's say, a couple of different residents write in and one has, I'm just gonna make ridiculous things just to make the point. One has a weed growing in his sidewalk and the other one has a broken water main out front, or sprinkler head on the verge. Obviously, the person with the weed should go to the bottom of the list, I would think, because getting the irrigations, you know, break would be important. So,
So Joe, I don't think this app changes anything about priority at all. I mean, it's just like sending emails out. They're gonna prioritize the most important thing, right? So
That's
right, so I don't
that's-
understand what this is doing for us. So I guess because it's gonna really kind of be the same, except that the resident will be able to
So,
see.
so one example I can explain to you is what happened.
Right.
I guess nobody remembers what happened last meeting, but for example, on the app or on your phone, you can take a picture of an issue and you can drop a pin. You can say exactly where it's at, and you can submit a request on your phone. Right now, the way that people have submitted things, they don't really give details on where it's at. So there's this back and forth of email chains trying to figure out where the issue is and trying to get the guys to go do the job and complete that. So it makes it more efficient for a community member to submit a request, give the exact location, take a picture of the issue. They know exactly who to submit to the job to get it completed. And then once it's done, they send a picture of it completed, and the community member gets notified. It's really like a closed loop system that is more efficient than back and forth emails about any issue that's going on in the community.
Okay.
So the biggest, I'd say the missing feature, I'd say, would be if there were with this, if we're calling it a Harmony app, it's still not able to do things like, you know, facility reservations or, you know, things like that. That was probably the biggest blind spot, I'd say, just from what the overall package could offer. But to counter that, I do like that we're, if we were to go this route, we wouldn't be coming completely blind. It's a system that Infomark is already utilizing in a, you know, much larger community. So it's more of a known quantity to them, and there shouldn't be as much of a learning curve with rolling it out. Should we go that route?
And also, just another point is it's a yearly subscription. If we don't like it and it doesn't work out and it's not efficient, we can cancel it. So it's $13,000 for the year. We can cancel it before the end of the year if we don't like it, and if the community doesn't like it, it's fine. But why not try something more efficient, potentially getting more things done quicker. I just don't see why we would not take the risk of paying $13,000 when we spend X amount of dollars on other stuff that we pay for the community.
Yeah, all right. I guess I just don't see what we're gaining other than people getting reports on where stuff is. And as you said, they can drop a pin, which I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sure I'll find out. But the that work isn't necessarily going to get done quicker.
Right.
So I mean,
what I like is this, having this, more of a, structured system underpinning the act of a resident seeing something wrong and sending a request. Right now, the board isn't, and rightfully is not copied on those, CDD maintenance emails. We
right.
Ourselves, and we hear from residents. Having this, system down, you're able to then, see metrics of, okay, well, here's how many reports were sent in, here's how long each one took to, we'll have a better way of keeping track of those things and making sure that, yes, it's the same act of telling the landscaper to go fix the sprinkler head, but there will now be this underpinned, there'll be a better record of it, and on the whole, should be easier for residents to interact with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to right now, either email a board member or email the maintenance address, and hopefully you put enough information or attach pictures or whatever. It's potentially easier for residents to interact with.
Yeah, and also
Okay.
another point to that, Dan, is when they briefed it last week or last month, it is a government structure, so they did say that they have to keep all documentation for the last 7 years for us to be able to reference. So all the requests that have been submitted and taken care of, all that history is documented so we can reference that down the road, which I don't think we really have that capability right now.
It exists now as email records, which, I mean, that would be really delightful to try going through that. You could do a information request for,
Right.
what emails have been sent to the CDD, but this adds structure to it. This adds some organization to it. Do we have any other thoughts or questions?
Can we make a motion?
Yeah, Brittany had a.
Just one more question. This might be more of a Kevin question. I know he's not here, but with the app, I'm wondering just about functionality. When the residents go in and they're wanting to report, say, a broken water line, is there sort of a drop down that they'll follow? Or is it just like an open box where take your picture, drop your pin, and write your notes?
I do know from the experience I was being told that it is a very user-friendly space, so, but I can't respond to that, I'm sorry.
Okay. The only reason I'm wondering is because even if there's not a particular functionality carved out for reservations, depending on, if we can set up just like a very basic workflow or drop down, we can sort of customize those. So I'm wondering how customizable that might be, because if we could integrate that, then I think it's probably a no-brainer. I mean, I still think that it's really, really worth looking more into, just for the simple line of streamlining and functionality. But if we could customize some drop downs, that would probably be easy to add the requests for.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the capabilities, but I like where you're going with that, because then it's still trackable to some extent. How we manage that will need to be discussed further.
Right.
I'm sorry, I wish I could.
Okay.
That's a really good idea though. Yeah.
So from my memory, they did have a slew of options that encapsulates all the issues or maintenance things that you would see in the community, like sprinkler head, tree falling down, etc. That makes it easy for the community member to submit the request. It's not like they're typing in every little detail or topic that they want to submit. There's description and stuff that they can add in, but I recommend you guys go and look at their website and stuff. But the guy that brought that introduction to us last month was really detailed. He did a great job. Explained everything thoroughly. So yeah, that's like
the reporting of it, but there's the Infomark side of it as well of, tracking issues or who it gets assigned to, and this person's doing the east side of the community, so they have such and such, issues that are for them to, on their route or something like that. And it does say on, it's page 20 of the agenda, there's the app, but you can still report things by email, via SMS, and there's a social media facing aspect of it as well, which has been for many years, request of residents to, because that's where a lot of community discussion takes place. So, is there any other discussion or questions on the topic of the GoGov proposal?
I would also like just to point out as well, Dan, if you don't mind, that it gives field staff the ability to communicate. Obviously, the residents have to be on the app, but it gives those residents, what's going on. If there's a hurricane coming through, we can provide updates on what we're doing, or the pool's closed down for 2 hours. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
We can communicate that rather than having to just communicate it to the board. Obviously, we're only dealing with a certain pool of residents, but we can communicate to those as well. So
Yeah, okay.
So if there's not any other discussions, I would move that we adopt the proposal from GoGov for 1 year of the service as described in the proposal.
I'll second that.
any discussion?
Yeah, one more question. Where is it gonna come out of the budget?
Yes.
We have reserves, so it could come out of that. I was trying to look under operations and maintenance. We do have a reserve fund within operations and maintenance, so we could pull it out of there. That's really the biggest one that I was seeing, we could pull it out because a lot of the other, miscellaneous contingency was the other one. But that's, with the operation of the district, that's what I was thinking from that perspective. And just like what Carol said, there's also miscellaneous contingency funds.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess all right. I've said enough. I'll stop.
And going forward, it would, could, have its own budget line item once we get to the budget process for next year. And by then should have a sense if it's something we wish to continue doing, then it would be formally, carved out of the budget.
Yeah,
Well,
the
we
board
just
usually-
went through a very difficult budget process, and now we're already stepping,
Yeah.
over it. So, that's where I have my hesitation, but.
I'm wondering, and first meeting could be totally wrong here. Can we have another meeting with Kevin just to sort of put some, I'm a millennial, I think this is great, right? But I can sense the hesitation. So I'm wondering if maybe a little bit of time. we can
Right,
answer
so
some more questions.
Right, and with you two being new, obviously, was there like this quote is good for only 30 or 60 days? I didn't see
No, he
that.
seemed pretty open about it when I talked to him, and he just provided it and just sent it off. So there's not gonna be anything as far as pricing changes, because that's been consistent now for good better part of 6 weeks. So
Okay.
I don't see an issue with that.
The
Really,
pricing has not changed, you said, since the initial proposal we got 6 weeks ago.
that is correct. If that pricing's not changed, you stuck with that consistently. We could do one or two things. We could table it to the next meeting. We could.
So Howard, if we're gonna vote, I know we have discussions, but if we're all gonna vote, let's vote, and then we can bring up the topic of having it at the next meeting. No, is not how it works?
We have Dan who made a motion with Lucas who seconded it.
Yes, and Joe has her hand up. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I didn't mean to put a wet blanket on all this, because if the rest of the board thinks it's a good idea, I will definitely vote for it. I just have my hesitations, and I was just voicing them. But Lucas and Dan know a lot more about these things, and so, like I said, I don't want to be, because I'm technically, what's the word? Technologically challenged. So, yeah, so if the other board members think it's a good idea, I will absolutely vote yes.
Well, I would say Julie, Brittany, it's your, first night here. Do the two of you feel like you need more time to go over this, or?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
So would you like I mean, if that's the case.
But we can go ahead and vote.
Well,
Well, if-
we do have a motion.
Okay.
Right, and well, and that vote was, yeah, the vote was to go with it. So
Okay.
if we vote yes on this, then, I mean, we can talk about it again next month, but that would be to run with it. So
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you'd like
again,
more time.
I think it would be really beneficial if we table this till next week, till next month, will Kevin be available too?
We can make.
Okay, because,
Just so you can answer the questions.
and I'm just wondering, because I mean, I know, like I said, I'm a millennial, I think this is the future, I think this is great. Is there any particular reason that you, Dan, or you, Lucas, feel like this is something that we should move on today? Just so I understand.
I don't think
I-
there's
Go ahead.
I don't think that there's a reason not to go on it today. I think it's a low risk, it's a high reward kind of proposition. And I mean, I know if you guys didn't hear the spiel last month, that's fine. But I think we should vote on it. And I think if you think $13,000 for a year is expensive, then I would I would say that you haven't been following the CDD board a lot, because there's things that pop up that we have to take care of. And this is one of those things that we're trying to improve the overall experience for the community. But it's your vote. Obviously, we'll vote as a board and we'll make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a slam dunk, but I don't think, 28 more days of, giving the new members time to look over it, giving, members of the public able to, a chance to weigh in on it, say, hey, here's the video that we had last month, you can go watch it and familiarize yourself and give people, I like it, it's a slam dunk, but I don't think we're going to hurt too much waiting one more month to, make sure we're happy with it.
Well, and I think you're right, because even though I know you and Lucas and I would vote yes, so it would win tonight, I think it's important for us to, for the two new supervisors to consider their opinion on this and not be bullies, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. So, that would be fine with me.
So all in favor of accepting the proposal tonight?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay?
All opposed,
Nay?
right? Nay.
Yeah, is it
No.
nay? Okay, and
All
Joe?
right, I'll say nay.
Okay, so motion does not carry right now, but, I think we will look forward to, addressing it. I don't know if it'll be old business, come next month in the agenda.
Yep.
We'll, give us time to.
And
Well, do we need to
give-
make a motion to table it? Is that how it goes?
I don't
Because
think
we're
so.
really just
No.
tabling it, right?
We just did.
Oh, okay.
And then, just so I'm clear also on the processes, if we did want to gauge resident interest, just very high level, is there a formal way of doing that?
Nope.
You can,
But you have no way to notify anybody.
right, so really it comes down to whoever you're able to communicate with just as a resident, with that, you can make posts on, social media, but as, Kate would be quick to point out, there can't be any cross communication between the board members
Right.
of that, so,
Okay,
including like, hey, here's how I'm gonna vote on this thing, it's walking on eggshells doing that, but that is still a somewhat useful way to.
but one could, hypothetically, make a feeler post, as long as no other members are.
That's
communicating on this, right?
the status quo, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Kate, is there anything you need to clarify on that social media posting for the new supervisors or just in general?
General, I mean, it's risky because you really do run into a risk of a sunshine law violation, because if anyone else comments on your post, that's a board member, that's an issue. So, and we can talk a little bit more about that with the new supervisors. But also I just would, and I know Howard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the agendas are posted publicly on the CDD's website 7 days in advance. So the public should have full access to everything that's in the agenda and everything that's being discussed. if that helps at all.
Yeah, so that's why I've been disappointed in the new website compared to what I thought it was going to be. Because it hasn't seemed to draw the residents in, you know, to look at those things, which would be so beneficial.
You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. All we can do is put the information out there.
Right.
Best we can, and, we'll discuss this again next month.
All right.
All right, you want more credit card money? Howard?
I don't. So. With having problems with the purchasing of materials, that's probably the biggest thing that we're up into that. We have projects that we start, we buy materials, and because it's a revolving credit, you know, we pay the balance off, but then there's still be money spent on it, so he doesn't really have full access to the funds that are available on that credit card. So the current credit limit is $5,000. Our request would be to double that limit to $10,000 before approval, obviously. And this would allow projects that have been started to finish. And basically have the ability, I mean, we buy so many materials on a daily, weekly basis for the upkeep of the community, that when sometimes we're in a holding pattern because we're unable to purchase materials because we've just, unfortunately, Raul has gone, and he runs everything past district management. So there's nothing that, you know, we're unaware of. It's just, it's annoying, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're requesting. Hopefully that you agree to that. That's fine. We would definitely like some form of increase. But as I said, the request would be to double it to $10,000.
Yeah, we're not talking about, increasing what's being spent versus making it easier to spend what's already been allocated for
That's
services.
exactly it. Exactly it.
So, I will move to, increase the, credit card, limit for field services use to $10,000.
I'll
And is there
second.
a second on that motion?
I second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll get that started. We'll get the ball rolling on that. Dan, you want me to just carry on with the agenda?
For sure. So next we have the consent agenda. So what that is, that's the, you were sent the minutes for the previous meeting or in the agenda. Usually there's separately sent the receipts that were, you know, on the, you know, field services credit cards, and that gives you a chance to see what is being spent on stuff and what was recorded as our formal record of the last meeting. It's not a verbatim, but it's still a pretty close transcription. And of course, we have audio and, you know, video records available as well. But they used to be done individually, and just the consent agenda is just to, you can bring up any questions or issues you have about any of the items on there. But otherwise it lets us adopt those as the official, you know, records of what happened for that meeting, and we'll then that becomes the record of the previous month's meeting. So
Should we point out, one question. Should we point out that if, when they read the minutes from the previous month, if they see anything that was recorded incorrectly, you can notify, I can't remember the lady's name right now, but she will review it then and make a correction in the minutes and then send them out again if need be. So, I just wanted to point that out, that that's how that works. So when we come to the meeting, those corrections have already been made. Was that-
I was gonna say, and Carol was outstanding about throughout her entire time on the board, was very consistent, and will be sorely missed, and we'll do as much as we can to, you know, continue. But that's really our, as supervisors, responsibility to give these as close a scrutiny as you can to make sure that things were being recorded properly, and that's an accurate record of what happened.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier now, though. Remember when the agendas used to be 180 pages? This month it's only 55. So.
Something to be said for keeping me short, so. I will to approve the consent agenda.
You get a second on the consent agenda?
A second.
Julie? All in favor?
So, we did have, so item E, that was the ratification of the audit engagement. That was just, again, accepting the audit that was performed in the past for our fiscal year 24.
100% correct, Dan, and that's just for the year 2024, so that'll be, it usually comes through, I think, around May of next year.
Yep.
Roughly, it could be a bit sooner. And then just the motion of assigning fund balance is more of a housekeeping thing, where we're assigning funds to the reserves.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Carries unanimously.
Lucas, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard Lucas on there, right?
Yep, aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is supervisor requests. So that's obviously if something was on the agenda, but you want brought up, you can, communicate that to the district manager, in advance, or you can bring it up here in public. I will just mention there had been a discussion a few days ago, and I've already emailed Howard about this. For the facility reservation on the website, back in, I guess, August, we went and added to the facility reservation the fee schedule. But two issues. One, the old copy of the reservation form is still on there. But also that fee schedule, that only applies to businesses, non-residents, or people that have exceeded their 2 free facility reservations per year. So I want to, I already emailed, I'm sure it's already in the works, but I just want
It's
to.
done. It's done.
Perfect.
When you say done, the refund to whoever paid the money?
Right, yeah, she reached out to me directly. Yeah, she had not, she was being asked to pay for this now. It was her second event of the year. So yes, it still should have been.
Understood.
Yeah, so we're good there.
They have it all updated on the website.
Okay, excellent. And Barbara, right, and I had an email also from Mary Jane on, I guess the concern that was brought up was for the Christmas lights, right? I believe that is the HROA that puts those out.
Carol, wasn't that the HR, the big HROA? Yeah.
Right, so I'm not sure that there's a whole lot that the CDD could do. I mean, the CDD maintains the tower there, so if it's an issue of, I mean, there's some downward facing light on the tower, and there's electrical service there that they use for those lights. I don't know that there's much that the CDD can really address with that, but.
Except refer it to HROA.
Yeah, correct.
Which is what the act would do.
Oh, I do have one other thing I wanted to ask about if I'm not too late.
This, this.
Oh, where was the other part done? Okay. And the lady asked about the fence at the, by the square. Is that not the fence by the old horse barn?
Right, so yeah, the issue is coming in the east entrance, that fence, which is on private property. But yes, it's still an absolute mess from the hurricanes.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything we can do in our capacity as CDD to ask the county. I mean, the residents have already been trying to contact code enforcement. I don't know if there's anything that we can just as a more formal, local government body do to.
And these type of instances, usually residents do have a lot of power, and I know what you're saying is sometimes can be a very frustrating battle. I don't know whether district management could send the owner a letter directly. Advising with pictures of it. But
I'm sure they've done that from the town as well.
Well, I mean, if there are, 'cause this is something that I've heard about nonstop since I won. I'm wondering, like you said, maybe we can the district can send a letter. I mean, it's obviously HOA violations. So under the ruse of some sort of violation, even if it's just a nuisance on a weekly basis, just getting on their case.
I'm not sure that that's HOA. I think HOA is residences. I'm not sure it's lots. So I'm not sure that HOA has any review, but the code enforcement, county code enforcement does. And even though you may not be seeing action, because we had some fencing on 192 that had some damage, the county was on us and we were gonna have to pay money every like week or month or something.
There's liens on all their properties through code enforcement. It's a continuous process. The company right now that owns all that, they're in foreclosure. You know, there's a certificate, I think I understand this now, that they got the tax certificate. Some financial company bought it. They have a year till next June before it actually then expires and the land can go up for auction. This is my limited understanding of how the county works. But it can't hurt for the CDD board to just complain about it like the rest of us do, because it's unsightly.
Very.
So, yeah, so, well, I mean, so that was, I mean, that was my question, just, is there anything that we can do in our capacity as a government body?
We
Well, I
can
mean,
ask Kate.
well, what I was gonna say first is that rather than expend money using district council first, district management consider it. And then, if, you know, we could pretend it like FedEx, so it's traceable. And then if nothing were to come from that, you know, we give them a time frame to just at least respond to us. You know, 30 days from receipt of that or whatever the case may be. And then, you know, let them know, have you heard anything, provide an update, no, we haven't, and then maybe Kate and district council to.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Well,
not.
I'm just suggesting that Kate weigh in right now at
Right.
this meeting about what the CBD's capacity is for doing.
Right.
Did you catch all that, Kate?
You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. And can you just clarify for me, that last
So
point?
this, the main entrance to the west entrance of the community, on private property is, there's fencing which runs along the road, is on private property and is in complete disrepair or destruction following the hurricanes. The CBD in the past has maintained separate sections of that same kind of perimeter fence along the highway. And it's just a complete eyesore. So the question was, what, you know, we're asking what district management can maybe do as, you know, like a letter to the county, code enforcement, who's the actual enforcement body. What can be done about that? And then the question was, is there anything else that you think is in our capacity to do about it?
And you said this was an issue that's come up before with the district, and apologies because I don't have as much historical knowledge as Mike does.
Well, so the district has a portion of the fence that it had maintained in the past, and actually removed some portions of it that were in, again, disrepair and were subject to code enforcement penalty. You know, along the highway. This is a different section of that same kind of perimeter fence that comes in from the highway, but is on private property and was destroyed by the hurricane and is now just laying there.
Okay.
So it's right.
I mean, the district manager, yes, I would say is welcome to request that from the county. But what I would advise at this time is for me to look into this a little bit further. And if I could then talk with your district manager offline, and then maybe if the board would want to designate somebody like the chair to be involved in that conversation between myself or Mike and the district manager and the chair to get that taken care of. And the board could authorize moving forward with a letter or something to the county.
Well, Howard, you were saying that you could just do that without necessarily.
Yeah, let's do what you said.
Okay,
We'll just.
let's start with that case, and then if
Yeah.
we, okay, all right.
We can do that.
Um,
We'll provide photos as well and document it as we can.
okay, thank you.
Sorry, Dan, did you want to review that before we send it out?
Sure,
Okay, just in case you want to add something.
okay. And thank you, Kate, for your input. Joe, I see your hands up.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify. I just wanted to make sure that I knew what fence they were talking about, because the audio is cutting out on me some. So when I asked the question, I really just wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right fence. So, okay, thanks.
Yeah, along Harmony Square Drive coming in from the
Yeah.
east entrance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then we have some hopeful fixes for the signal quality coming out of here for next month that will.
yeah.
hopefully have
Oh,
ready.
and I was just gonna toss out one more idea. If we can't get anywhere to have them fix it, I wonder if they would give us permission to have field services just pull it out for them.
It's private property, so.
No, well, we would have to ask them, but it's just an idea at this point, so.
And we could look into that. Typically, we don't advise that the CDD use funds to do maintenance on private property.
Mhm.
But if the board would like, I would look into this and get back to you
Yeah,
with a little bit of information. I would be more than happy to do that.
yeah. Well, I didn't mean to move forward on that right now. It was just an idea for the future if nothing else worked, so.
Got
Okay,
it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's start with Howard. Already sounds like he has an idea for that letter, and then if you need to reach out to council. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Any other supervisors' requests?
I have a question just about the meeting place in here.
Mhm.
Is this going to be our permanent spot? Are we considering other venues?
Okay, so that is the fiscal year 25 just started in October, and it was basically is a 1 year at a time is where that's determined. Part of it is the meeting. Part of the sunshine law is all the meetings need to be in a publicly announced location. Yeah, the board had the meeting in the model home, and it's very cramped, and we actually this facility had been offered several years prior, and there had been questions of from previous council raising issues with that ended up not being a problem. So it's already been chosen as our site for the fiscal year 25, but as part of the process for the upcoming fiscal year, if maybe whether it's the lakes has been, I brought that up and had that shot down a number of years ago. Harmony West has a community center that I don't know if they're open to using
There's
versus.
also a spot in the town square that has made itself available to us, obviously at a fee. And obviously we can see that turnout is a lot lower. So is that something that we can reconsider? If we, throw everything on the table as far as price comparison, closer to home?
Well, I would defer. So when we made the decision, and I mean,
Yeah, so what Dan was saying was correct. So what we did was that we set it up for the financial year or fiscal year, which like Dan said, started in October. The reason we did that is because the Joneses model home was, they were very loose about how much time we were going to have there. And to save the district money, we have to advertise for these meetings. So to save the district money, we advertise for the full year, which saved us money. So now if we were to change, which would be up to the board to decide that, we could change, but we would need to re-advertise again, which would incur more fees.
Like how much? Just ballpark.
maybe we could have that prepared for the next meeting to give us an actual.
It's ridiculously high. I mean, I would guess just off the top of my head, anywhere from $500 to $700.
A one-time fee of $500 to $700.
Yeah, so and
Okay.
we've already probably paid, close to that.
Okay, and I'm sure it's public record, but what are we paying per meeting here?
500.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should definitely discuss it further.
I mean, that's never been an option previously, if that's an option that's available now.
The church at the square
Mhm.
has offered to rent it to us on Thursdays, for less than half of this price. So it would definitely offset that one-time $500 to $700 cost. It's also in the neighborhood, like I said, turnout has been a lot lower here. So I think it's just something to discuss. Not that Finger's not lovely, but I think it makes sense to have the conversation.
Yeah, there's no harm in having that discussion, sure.
Would you like to-
The other piece, the consideration is, we do have we want to make sure that for people accessing via Zoom, that we have some kind of a, because it's possible to do all this over a hotspot, and we're kind of sort of doing that now, but it's, I'd like to at least,
Yeah.
that's part of the consideration, that's all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And from what I understand, they are newly hosting the HROA meetings. So they've made sure that they have the connection for live streaming, et cetera. So again, not that here's not lovely. I just think it makes sense to discuss another option, maybe for next time.
The lakes.
I didn't think so.
We utilize some Tinder items.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What did she say?
That the lakes are still not an option, so,
Yes, I heard Jerry.
insurance apparently, so.
Um,
I asked I mean, you know, the moment it opened up, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable.
if it's all right with the board, I would just like to wish Joe a happy birthday. It's her birthday today, so I just want to.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Thanks. I have to show you my shirt. I'm in an Airbnb in Cocoa Beach, but I thought Bruce Springsteen was coming. So, but I have this shirt. It said, I forget what it says. I heard Bruce might show up, but he didn't. So I'm here with my family and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, so.
Enjoy the. There you go.
Amy failed her in getting Bruce and.
Any other supervisor requests? I move to adjourn.
Everybody covered.
Second.
Second.
All right, Barbara, second, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 Joe, Kate, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Thanks again, Kate. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, dear.
Good night, thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
By the way, what's the protocol? Do we, I didn't feel that we're not supposed to talk during the meeting, because the meetings I